Why hello there, and welcome back to Banzai Pecan. Alright, so for today, we're actually going to go into Flan's room. I really want to see what she got going on in here. Let's find out. Oh dear. Something seems a bit off here. Alright, so we got tutorial, her tips, practice, and exit. I really thought this is the place where we'd find all the concept art and everything. But I guess not, it's just for training, I suppose. That makes a bit of sense. What's this? In case you mistake, give out great advice. Sometimes I get told going too fast, or for others. Oh, and there's yet another reference. You can get that one from, was it Zelda? The excuse me, princess. I don't know why she even shoved it in, it didn't make any sense. It doesn't fit, more or less. Ah, well, let's get the hell out of here. So enough of this. So with that, let's continue our game, shall we?
It's all up to you. Regain justice.
Alright, we're in, I guess, the sex dungeon? I guess? I don't know, really. Oh yeah, these. There's these black bunnies hanging around, or honey bunnies as they're called. And you can't actually defeat these ones. All they're there for is to drop panties. You hit them once, drop a panty. In fact, there's no real difference from the standard red honey bunny. They are just recolored for the S&M style dungeon. Now, since there's really no change to the enemies here, I decided to go on the game's website and pull up a little bit of information, since the game doesn't really, since the game itself doesn't really talk about some of the characters here, right? So since we're just fighting bunnies at the moment, I decided to talk about Ash Bunny, Devil May Cry kind of leader, as the website calls it. And at first I thought it was a female, but I was actually wrong. The bio for him is an eccentric bunny boy who ran away from home to realize his dream on an all-girl soccer team. He settled for being in charge of a mercenary group known as the Honey Bunnies, the group of cronies that the S7, or Sexalicious 7, hired to take out anyone who gets in their way of their ambitions. Even though he answers them, he'd much rather mouth off to the S7 and party than do any actual work. So now it makes even less sense that there was a boob joke at the end of the fight there. I mean, whatever. Yeah, and we died because I took too much damage. But this is also to show that each and every death prior to the boss battle will actually shunt you right back to the beginning of the stage. Another thing to note though is that the birth date for Ash Bunny is April 8th. You got a height of like straight up 5 feet, but the ears add another 4 to 10 inches. I actually don't know what the Endor even does. I mean, it drops, you get the crowd cheering for some reason. But it doesn't look like it does anything besides give us points. Now, of course, the website doesn't actually go into a description of what any of these other enemies are named. I think Flan actually mentions it. At least for the larger bunnies. Now, I had a little bit here because I was trying to get rid of the floating demon, because you always want to take her out first. Because you usually drop health and everything, right?
Not too bad, right?
Eh. Oh man. And it's always fun to have the foreground just block off any semblance of the fight you're having.
Way to go!
And look at that, we're out. And your level was kind of short, shorter than most. And so we get... What's it? Mistress Mocha?
My domain.
Alright, so, what changes Mistress Mocha from, what was it, Sister Spearmint is that unlike the two bosses before her, you can actually attack her legs. But, Mistress Mocha does have an annoying feature to her that I think, Sister Spearmint also had. And we're covering that in a little bit here. Oh yeah, her whip covers 3/4 of the freaking screen.
My boot slave.
So it's actually kind of hard to dodge her unless you duck at the right time. But you want to stay close because if you try to get far away from her, she'll hit you with the whip no matter how far away you are, and you're gonna take damage. Another thing I noted during this fight is that for the first part of it, when she does hit you, it does minimal damage, right? But when you actually take her down to about halfway on her first health bar, her attack power increases substantially. Ugh.
On your knees.
Now another thing to note is, I think her and Sister Spearmint also have the ability to turn on invincibility frames at random times when you're attacking them in a combo. So, like you saw in the last thing where I was kicking her all of a sudden, right? And at one point my kicks just stopped hurting her, so she can execute an attack. And it normally happens right around here where you're doing all kinds of damage to her, right? And then out of nowhere, you can't hurt her anymore, and then she strikes. Like that. So this is the best way to deal with her. Get as far away from her as you can, because her desperation attack for the whip will grab you from halfway across the screen, take about 2/4 of your health, and then another 10% off that if it executes. She actually has the strongest desperation move yet. And I haven't figured out how to counter it, it just happens. But hey, she's down for the count. She was actually a lot tougher than Sister Spearmint was, even though we had the ability to attack her lower, or to use our kicks, unlike the other boss. Get what's coming to you, lady. Yeah, I'd actually say that to this. I mean, as far as we know, this organization doesn't really breed loyalty, considering that 2 of its generals became sex slaves to Mistress Mocha here due to failing. Hell, Sister Spearman should have been a sex slave too at that one point, right? But it's around here that they decide to take us out. And I don't get it. And if anything, I would have just turned against Mistress Mocha and beat the hell out of her for turning me into a sex slave just because of a failure. But no, so she technically cheated by having her, I guess, subordinates or peers that still remained loyal to her even though she beat the hell out of them. Had them beat us up and now we're at her mercy again. Of course, we don't get to see her beat us up. Oh look, it's the others. I don't really get the poses here. I mean, why does Bittersweet Almond look so angry that we're getting beat up here? In fact, the only person that looks happy is Spearmint and Mocha. Oh look, it's what's his face?
Beat it!
And of course we don't get to see what the hell happened there. So I'm actually kind of curious at this point, is this the payout for having to see him show up all of twice before this level? Where he really just says a few words and goes away? We don't even get to see him attack. He's got a guitar on him, I guess. It would have been sweet to see him beat people up with that. Hell, check out, it's our rival. Segoi Maple. Now, according to the website, it's not really defined how the rivalry came about. But it is kind of neat to note, artistically, at least design-wise, that she is the opposite of Pecan here. Where Pecan wears a one piece, Maple wears 2 pieces, you know, over the private regions, of course, I'd understand that. Maple has the, shorter gloves, while Pecan has longer gloves. And the ball pads have been replaced with pointy pads. I thought she was like supposed to be a bunny. But I guess that'd be wrong. They even kind of have the same hairstyle with a, I guess, the opposite color. Oh, she even wears larger boots than Pecan does. Oh. But, as it's explained here, she doesn't really work for the Sexualista 7. She's joining them because they have the same goal at this point, but she's not really their minion. I guess she's pretty much like the mercenary group that gets hired. She's just working with them.
I don't have to say crap. You know what to do.
Well, anyway, it looks like we're on the rooftops on the way to stop a wedding. So join me next time as we race our way to save our boyfriend, I guess. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.